Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the number one source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter. Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter, and welcome to Goldilocks Global Banking News. I am your host. Folks, today what Goldilocks is sharing is strictly and only about Iraq. And I want you to pay attention very closely so that you aren't confused in any way, shape, or fashion what Goldilocks is showing directly from Iraq about the Iraqi dinar. Understand and know that what Iraq is in the process of doing is legalizing and licensing several banks within Iraq that are banks connected to what are called international correspondent banks. These are banks that are the big banks around the world that move currencies in the trillions every day. And Iraq is licensing their own internal banks to make sure that they can legally connect to these international correspondent banks. There is a consulting firm named the Oliver Wyman consulting firm. For those that have been following Goldilocks for a while, the last year and a half, 2 years, Goldilocks has been showing how Oliver Wyman consulting firm is helping Iraq to prepare for the revaluation of the dinar. Oliver Wyman also is the consulting firm from the World Trade Organization. Let's jump right into what Goldilocks is sharing today. What we have is a new law that Iraq made sure they had to implement. And folks, for those who have been paying attention, Iraq and Vietnam, step by step, doing the same thing at the same time. Digital laws, foreign direct investments, getting investors from around the world to come into their countries, which will boost and strengthen dinar, boost and strengthen the dong. Passing laws that are needed to support the dong, passing laws that are needed to support the dinar. These laws to support the currencies were necessary to be able to revalue their currencies in the new digital banking system. Iraq passed their digital laws several months ago. Vietnam did the same thing. Goldilocks is sharing here that the new law, Iraqi banking law number 94 of 2004, it establishes a regulatory framework. Think of the digital asset regulations in the U.S., the Genius Act, for example, the Crypto Clarity Act. These are regulations that provide the licensing, operations, and governance of the banking system. This is to protect investors. Just imagine the dinar revaluing, and all of the investors, not just the big money investors that move currencies around the world, but us as investors. What do we have to protect us when we exchange besides U.S. banking laws? Wouldn't you want the country for the currencies we hold to have laws to support their currency as well? I mean, if we're exchanging the dinar, for the US dollar, or the dong for the US dollar, or whatever currency, the dinar or the dong for whatever currency you are in the country you're in. Wouldn't you want the currency to have the dinar and the dong and the others to be regulate, have proper updated regulations to protect us as investors? That's what these laws do. So this latest law that Iraq passed has several definitions for support of the dinar. Number one, bank. Companies must be licensed in Iraq and around the world to even touch to any transactions with the dinar. They must be licensed. They must be officially regulated businesses. They must have a board, the board of directors for central banks. They must have a governor, license, capital, meaning money, branches where people can go in and out and transact in the dinar. Correspondent banks, these are the international banks that will move the dinar in and out of the banking system. They must have assets owned by the bank. They must have a large amount of deposits. They must provide loans. They must be profitable. They must invest. They must have credibility. They must provide guarantees, letter of credits, guarantees to their investors, guarantees for the transactions, guarantees for the loans. They must conduct business in what are called promissory notes, securities. They must do audits. These are requirements for these banks conducting business under a new license with the Iraqi dinar. Folks, they're not doing this for the first time ever just to say they did it. Iraq is constantly and consistently preparing for the Iraqi dinar to go international. They are consistently laying the groundwork and the foundation to make sure the foundation is strong, so that when the dinar does go international, it will be stable. See, I know some of you don't even care if the dinar is stable. You just want to exchange your dinar, get it out of your hands and get into the currency that you hold, the US dollar. You're like, what the heck? To hell with the dinar. I exchanged and got my return on my investment, and now I got my USD millions or whatever country millions. To hell with the dinar's doing after I exchange it. I know that's how some of you think. Nothing wrong with thinking like that, because you got a valid point. But you must understand and know that if you were on the side of Iraq, you would protect yourself too. Just like you're exchanging the dinar or the dong or whatever currency into your home currency, there's protection mechanisms in the banking system to protect our investment. You may have the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation that insures your money up to $250,000, but there are mechanisms such as private wealth management firms, where there's added security and protection on your exchanged funds. I know most don't care about that. You just want to get your money and go buy a yacht, go buy a plane, go buy a Bentley or Rolls Royce and a $10 million house and all that. Not even thinking about the expenses and maintenance of it. You just want to go buy. I understand. Nothing wrong with that. Not judging. Just saying. Wouldn't you want to have some protections in place? That's what Iraq is doing with the dinar. They are requiring any and every bank, even new banks, that want to open, that want to do business with the dinar, they must pass certain licensing requirements. Because once the dinar goes international, ladies and gentlemen, there is no turning back. When I think of that, I think of the Rocky movie. There is no tomorrows. There is no tomorrows. So when the dinar revalues, folks, when any of these currencies revalue, there is no tomorrows. It's all full guns blazing, moving far ahead when it happens. There is no tomorrows. So basically, you can look at this as Iraq is crossing their T's and dotting their I's. It's not just as easy as many of you heard to flip a switch. As you can see, there is processes involved. Iraq even has in their new law of refusing to license certain banks if they don't pass certain requirements. There's fees. There's renewals for the licenses of these banks, just like you get a driver's license or something, or some sort of professional license for a business. There's a time, for example, on it. There's an expiration on it. Iraq is making sure they have those. There's ownership requirements for the banks. Not just anyone can own a bank that's going to be handling large amounts of dinar. There's corporate governance, a board of directors, the power plays and the power structure that goes into these banks in Iraq in order to manage the dinar, to handle the dinar. It's even detailed, for example, where certain banks must have a general manager approved by the central bank of Iraq in order to conduct business in the dinar. The general manager must have at least 10 years of banking experience. Just think how they are tightening up the banking system in Iraq so strong, even down to the details of the credentials that individuals must have in order to even manage the dinar and transactions in the new banking system. Even to where there's responsibility of the board of directors on these particular at these new banks. They must have sound management of compliance and laws and regulations that are in compliance with international standards. Why? There is no tomorrows. When the revalue of the dinar, the floating of the dong, the currencies, and any of them, when they rise, they're specifically dinar, there is no tomorrows. There's no turning back. There's no do-overs. Including a part of the new requirements is even not just licenses, but permits down to the water and sewer, building permits. Everything is extremely detailed in everything that Iraq is doing right now in this new law for banks. Even to how they deal in real estate transactions. Trading of Forex. Trading of Forex at these new banks in Iraq. Even a part of the new law, Article 19, foreign exchange operations, says banks may engage in foreign currency exchange, transfers, and related operations subject to instructions issued by the central bank. So folks, these new banks going up in Iraq, there are certain laws and regulations that they must abide by in order to operate in Forex. Do you not think this is important? There's liquidity requirements, meaning how much money these banks will have on hand. Loan requirements, loan classification and provisions. The central bank shall issue instructions on loan classification and provisioning for non-performing loans. They are not going to let people get loans in the dinar and then the banks can't issue the loans. There's exposure protections that these banks have to not over lend the dinar, to weaken the dinar. The banks have to submit periodic reports to the central bank, audits from the central bank, and third parties like Oliver Wyman. There's going to be a serious monitoring of these banks in Iraq who are going to be interacting and transacting in the dinar. They'll be fined if they do not operate in a certain way. Mergers and acquisitions, where a lot of the smaller and medium-sized banks are going to be merged with bigger banks. This law shall be published. Listen to this about this new law, where it's going to be published. If you could guess where this new law for banks that are going up in Iraq, if you can take one guess where this new law is going to be posted, if you get it right, I might just gift you one of my Zim notes that somebody had the nerve to give me out on the street near the recycling center that was around the corner from my house. Can you guess where this new law is going to be? I'll share it with you. I know most of you will get it. I'll read it to you. Article 34, publication. This is under publication of the law. This law shall be published in the official Gazette and shall enter into force upon publication. So the law is published in the Gazette. Have you ever heard of the Gazette before? Isn't that where you were told that the dinar rate would show up and it's going to be posted and put into the Gazette because Sadani said so? And because of budget tables? When are you going to learn to focus on the facts and not the foo-foo? I'll continue. This translation is based on the official version available from the National Investment Commission. For original Arabic text, yeah, folks, this is the text that goes into the publication, into the Gazette. Visit the CBI. Goldilocks continues. With a question, does compliance with this new law enable foreign currency exchange? Answer yes. Compliance does. Compliance with this new law 94 of 2004 enables licensed banks to now conduct foreign currency exchange activities. Specifically, Article 175, foreign exchange operations as core banking activity for these licensed banks, including buying, selling foreign currencies, international transfers, and related services. Article 19, subject these operations to the CBI's instructions. In summary, Goldilocks is stating, obtaining and maintaining a license under this law directly authorizes foreign exchange, supporting Iraq's de-dollarization efforts. Why are they de-dollarizing? Because the dollar is getting weaker. Who wants to hold on to a weaker dollar? Nobody. Goldilocks continues, folks, about Oliver Wyman, the firm that is helping Iraq in order to meet all the requirements of the World Trade Organization accession. Some may have gotten confused about Goldilocks' article today about 2026 to 2029. See, this is what people have missed that Goldilocks has been sharing, is that rates will continue to move up. And what Goldilocks is sharing is that even with the dinar, all the other currencies are going to float. Goldilocks is seeing proof and facts in writing now that even the dinar, once it revalues, it will continue to increase in rate over a period of 3 to 5 years. With the expected highest rate potentially between 2027 and 2029. But between sooner, up until that time, in the near future, up until that time, when it's expected for the dinar to revalue, it will continue. The rate will continue to increase. This is where an exit strategy, several exit strategies, are encouraged. But some may just choose to go in at the first time and exchange all of their currency at once because they were told that there's no double dipping. So if anyone chooses to do that, that's their business. Exchange everything at one time. That's okay. But if there's someone that wants to exchange some now, have their wealth management flip it to take your millions and make multi-millions, or take your millions and make billions, they can do that. You can do that too. And then the rest that you hold back, as that continues to increase in value, you can exchange that later too, if you want to do that too. And then you may have some more you want to hold back that you've held back, and you want to exchange that later when it goes up in rate. You can do that too. Or you can have it within a certain yielded fund within your wealth management firm, that as the rates grow, so does your wealth. You could do that too. Or if you choose to take it all in at one time because you believe what you were told, even though it's not facts, that you can only exchange one time, and then you just get whatever you get at that time and that's it, you can do that too. No judgment. It's your investment. You do what you want. Just make sure what you do is based on facts and not foo-foo. We love you, beautiful folks. Be well. Ciao.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.